Welcome to our third session on artificial intelligence in our UNESCO Masterclass. Today we are talking about how we effectively use AI tools in our daily life, and this is the last part of our AI session, and hope you enjoy. What kind of AI tools are we using in our daily lives? There's a series of daily tasks we can do with AI tools. Most of us use simple things such as translate a document or understanding a foreign language text. This is normal for us today. We are using tools on our smartphones which are translating in real time the conversation with someone who's asking us on the street. So a lot of these things are simplifying and boosting the tasks we have during our day. We use them to be more productive, but also we use them to be more creative. So we're using image generators to create the illustration we like to have, or we want to create a nice picture we want to have as a screensaver on our computer. Those things can be easily created with image generators based on artificial intelligence. In the daily problem solving, we use artificial intelligence to support us. If we use generative AI such as ChatGPT, we can ask him to, for example, structure us a simple process in creating a cake or creating a recipe for a new kind of potato salad. This is all helpful. So it can be that easy, or we use it to simply write down all the thoughts we have on a particular problem and ask the chatbot to structure it in a chronological and logical order. We can use those systems in a very personalized way. So we can tell them what we prefer to hear, what kind of language we like to use, and so on. So this is day-to-day business for us with using such systems. And we can use those systems across various platforms. It's not just our smartphone, Android. It can be an iPhone. It can be a PC. It can be a Mac. And the user interface is almost available for all platforms in the same way. When we see virtual assistants in action, such as Siri, Alexa, or Google Assistant, we can give voice commands to them for daily tasks. We can ask them to play our favorite songs on Spotify, or we can ask them to switch on or dim the light in a room, or we ask Google Assistant, can you navigate us to the next McDonald's? This is all possible by just speaking to them. So voice is our enabler. This customization can be made up to very individual needs. So I can configure such systems that they act only under certain conditions in a particular way. And this is something where we have the most benefit of it, because we don't have to explain them every time what our intention is or what we like. Again, we have limitations here and privacy concerns, because the more we tell them about us, the more they know about us. And here we have to be very, very careful. Talking about productivity, when you, for example, do a lot of work with email, artificial intelligence can now support us in doing our email management with AI. One of the latest introduced enhancement there is Microsoft Copilot. Copilot is based on OpenAI technology and integrates perfectly with all the Office applications. So what we can do there is we can automate the creation of our email. We can use them to do certain tasks with them, plan those tasks. We can use smart scheduling assistants to help us to find for example, a meeting space and a meeting time with some colleagues just by asking Copilot to see what is available. We can use those tools to summarize complete conversations or to find the content of the conversation and to recap what we have done on a particular topic, even when it's weeks ago or even years ago. And we can use that then to find out what are the best workflows for us by using AI and with using AI. With regard to educational applications, there's a series of adaptive learning platforms which learn from the users and based on their progress and based on their problems, adapt to what the students need. And with them are a lot of options such as AI-driven tutoring systems which help the students to come along with the scripts or with the questions they have about the scripts and the materials. And such an example is I use Thea, which is an AI-enhanced learning platform which supports the students in various ways, from training for the exams to answering questions up to Socratic teaching, so challenging the student with questions and then checking the answers, and so driving the student's progress to a new level. By giving feedback to them, the student is highly engaged because it's not just question and answering, it's also something where they can learn how to use the system to their favor. And the feedback can be also a critical feedback. It's not always positive. It's not just black and white, yes and no. It is more nuanced and therefore very helpful for students' progress. This leads to a higher engagement with the material, with the learning itself, and this is one of the great benefits of such a platform. And especially for those students who need more support here, these AI tools can help to get a better learning experience where you need more support. In creativity, AI can generate art and music. Yes, it can do both. So it can develop the idea of a picture and then also use the different possibilities of generation to create that picture, being the basis, for example, for other tools, even manual tools to work on that. You can build up digital concepts of your artwork and then manually create them by using a pencil or a brush, using different materials and so on. And this is very, very powerful. In music, you can create simple tunes, you can create complex music samples, and the AI system will help you in generating a complete composition or even supporting you while you have to write an arrangement, for example, from an existing music piece to play it with your band of 3 people, which wasn't possible without knowing much about music before. Regarding writing assistance and content creation, you can use it to create your own novel. You can create at first a storyline, and then you can start from the end, go back to the beginning, make sure that it is all in line. And then if you need help with content creation, it can give you advice on that. And all those things are much easier possible with AI. In video editing and design, you will find as well a lot of support. You can translate, for example, fully automatic your English spoken audio of the video into a foreign language. You can use avatars instead of real people to speak what you want to show. You can ask for help in the design of scenarios, of backgrounds, of visual effects. Those things are available now. You can use this also to create or augment the whole creative process. So you can simulate and develop strategies how to create the creative process with such tools. Problem is, again, originality here, because those systems learn from the work of others, and the question is then, how original is the work? So creativity in general is always a question about originality. So yes, the painters in the medieval, they learned from each other. They wanted to do a better still life than their teacher before, but they always looked for the new. They were looking for, how can I separate myself from what was existing? And this is the same in creativity. You have to have in mind, just a me too is not enough to be creative. You have to go over that. And this is where the biggest concerns are. Here on this slide, I have an example use case of using AI to create a presentation draft. So if I use an example prompt, for example, for ChatGPT, Claude, Mistral, or similar systems, such as start with summarize AI application in healthcare, and a few more things in there, the system then can create a slide deck. A slide deck is a collection of all the slides and the content of that slides, which is the basis for a PowerPoint presentation. And then I use that and then go into, for example, PowerPoint and ask Copilot, based on that slide deck, to create a complete presentation. And it's able to do that. It is creating my complete slides, adding a lot of content. The unfortunate thing is, you have no influence on how it does it. This is the beginning, this is the future. In the future, I expect that you have more influence on it, and that it always takes also some considerations into account which are important, that the content of the presentation is more suitable for the audience. However, as a basis is great, you just have to add it and go on from there. What is important is always that you evaluate what the AI output is. So you have to create a critical analysis of what you have seen there. So don't believe what the outcome is. Just because it's an AI doesn't mean it is correct, it is existing, or whatsoever. So you have to identify what could be the bias or the inaccuracies in the content. What is missing? So this is what a human can do easily, and this is what is required. You can avoid problems by asking for cross-referencing the AI-generated content, looking, are there other evidences for the output of the AI system? Is this what's mentioned really existing, or is it just a hallucination? And you have to avoid that you are reliant, over-reliant, especially on AI. So you have to keep your critical mindset, you have to keep your own knowledge. You can't say, hey, we have no AI and I don't need any new material I have to read on my own and so on. Do not believe what is on AI if you are not sure that it is correct. So at the end, all this ends up in trusting but verifying the outputs of AI is possible if you have the right mechanisms in place. Regarding the data privacy in AI tools, always be aware that personal data, if you share it, can be used and it can go into areas where you don't want to have them. Because those systems are usually in the cloud, there's always a risk of a data breach. And all the data from private data up to whatever application data you give to the systems, they can be accessed. You can avoid unwanted information by ensuring that your consent is given or not given to use your data, and that you only work with such systems which you can make sure that your data is used in the right way if you only go to platforms who are highly accepting privacy concerns, who are working according to common regulations such as GDPR, etc. And then your data is usually safe because those companies have to make sure that there's no third party who's able to access your information. Those companies usually take all the measures to protect your data by using a secure storage and encryption, so that if a data breach or a stolen account is happening, that the data still is useless for them because encrypted information cannot be accessed. Such tools have robust privacy policies. They make sure that only data is used in an anonymized way if it's used outside the given consent. And those companies are under regulation. They will be monitored by external data protection officers. And this is usually the case when you go to well-known companies which are based in the country where the regulation is valid. What are the trends we have in AI tools nowadays? First trend is that more artificial intelligence is moving to the devices which are at place of the interest. So IoT devices or smartphones and so on, will see that more data evaluation through AI is done on those devices directly, and this trend is called AI in edge computing. The second trend we will see is that IoT devices, so everything which is connected to the internet and is used for data collection, such as, for example, if you have air conditioning systems which can be or need maintenance over time, that the detectors for asking for maintenance are now equipped with intelligent sensors, which then transfer the information to the service management software. And with the integrated AI, plans were created so that the maintenance is done before a failure of the system is existing. In real-time decision-making applications, this is one of the highest impact right now, that whatever you do, that AI supports a decision directly, that it is possible that you get a response to an inquiry immediately. If you ask, for example, for a particular offer to a certain inquiry, that here clearer and faster decisions are made in real time because all the data you need there is available. Another trend is using AI in augmented and virtual reality experiences. So on one side, to integrate better with those environments, on the other side, to also create a more immersive user experience that you will see by using special kind of equipment like glasses with video equipment, or special kind of helmets you can use there. Those kind of equipment is mainly used in gaming for the moment, but a lot of people foresee the integration of augmented reality and virtual reality with real-life applications in the near future. And last but not least, there is an infinite number of tools to be in the future for niche markets. So the first four I just mentioned, maybe more generic ones, but I'm pretty sure that everywhere where someone has an idea in a very small market, that an AI tool will be helpful and creating a complete new experience. So what are the best practices for using AI tools? So one of the first things to mention here is that we should start small and scale gradually. Like with all tools, small-scale tools can help us to understand better in what direction the scaling works. Sometimes, and we know that from production environments, when you go, for example, in chemistry, from laboratory scale to industrial scale, not everything is working in the same way. So a little temperature increase in the laboratory does mean several hundred degrees Celsius in an industrial environment can lead to a severe problem. And here it's the same. So scaling up can lead to a problem. Just to give you an example, if these generative AI, large language models, are trained by the existing texts on the internet, it's great, until AI tools start to create content on the internet. And then if the AI tools learn from the created content they created themselves, you get something like Alzheimer in LLM models. So scaling also needs to find where are the limits and what do I need to do to make sure that they are still working. Another important best practice is that you take only tools who are aligned with your goals. Just using AI because you think it's great and it's a great marketing idea doesn't make any sense. The tool must be suitable for the problem you want to solve. And this is where the selection becomes crucial. It is important that you regularly review your tools and update the tools, because tools have errors, make errors. Software is never bug-free, so it's very important that it's always reviewed and that you are also looking that the output remains the same, because otherwise you cannot reproduce what you intended originally. And what is also important is that users are trained for the utilization of such tools. If a user has no idea what are the limits and the scope of such a tool are, then they will have problems in getting to the right results and being able also to understand if the results make sense or not. Because it is like all tools we use. If you don't have a driver's license, you don't drive a car. And here it's the same. You should know what you're doing and what are the risks and limits. And whatever we do, we should always have in mind what are our ethical and data concerns regarding those tools. Are they still unbiased? Are they diverse enough? Are they fair? Is the data protected? And so on. With regard to the ethical usage of AI tools, we should avoid overdependence on automation. If we're just dependent on automation, the control of the ethical use is very difficult, because we can heal only problems then retrospectively. And this is not what we should have in mind. Also, when we use AI, we should be able to use it transparently, so that all the stakeholders know what we're doing with it, why we're doing it with it, and how are we doing it. And this is very helpful to build trust into the applications. For the training and also for the output, we should respect intellectual property. So this means that if we use data from different sources, those sources should be public and available freely or against payment whatsoever, but we should have the license to use them and not just take it and then afterwards ask for forgiveness. This is not the right way. Better is to ask right from the beginning and find a solution and then have reliable data. And we should always promote those ethical guidelines by also telling the companies tools and the companies what we're expecting on those tools, such as the difference between, for example, Anthropic's Claude and ChatGPT from OpenAI is that the Anthropic has a much higher emphasis on protecting the user from bad behavior of the chat system. And this is what is a consequence of user demand and not of the company itself. They had directly those concerns in mind. And finally, we have to ensure that there is no biased algorithm, so that we use only unbiased algorithms. We have to test them before we publish them, before we use them, that this is all in line with our expectations. So, how to prepare for the future with AI? AI does not replace lifelong learning. So even with those tools, we have to learn how to use them and how to live with them and how to shape the future with them. So we need to stay informed with all the trends currently upcoming in AI. So we cannot read everything about AI on a daily basis. However, we should see where is AI moving, where are well-respected areas, well-accepted areas, where is risks, where is a discussion about diversity or bias problems. So be careful with what is going on, and then we can select the right solution. And we cannot stay within our bubble. We should always look also to the left and the right to build an interdisciplinary knowledge about AI in general, but also always look from left and right what impacts the tools, what impacts society, what impacts trends right now, and what is a connection in between. And here we should then always discuss with our peers about the ethical use and ethical innovation. It doesn't mean that the ethical standards we have right now are the final ones. Also, those standards have to be discussed and have to be developed. They didn't come up with one day, well, we have ethical standards. They also were developed over a period of time and a learning curve. And here, the learning curve needs to be continued. And finally, we have to make sure that all the systems are adaptable and contain a certain resilience against attackers, against disturbance from the outside, so that they are safe and reliable for our future use. Some practical resources are available for you on the internet. So you have a lot of MOOCs, which are online tutorials out there which you can use free of charge, and try them, use videos in platforms like YouTube, but look from different perspective. Also, YouTube is a collection of different opinions, and not all of them are probably correct ones. There's also fake information out there. Always find cross-references if information is shared somewhere else, if there are others from a different angle come to the same conclusions, and so on. There are forums for peer learning out there which you can attend. You can exchange your experience with others. You can just read that, but it's fair to monitor them in order to find out what is current trend. For those of you who think you want to deal with it in a more deeper and a more thorough way, there are possibilities to do trainings with organizations who offer trainings. You can do certifications in AI tools. You can do, for example, a Copilot Academy. You can do from universities, training courses, or other higher education institutions are offering artificial intelligence courses. use them, and then you build up a profound knowledge. A lot of research papers published right now and case studies where you can see what is practical applications of artificial intelligence, and you can learn from them. And last but not least, for the beginner, you will find so many simple explanation tools how you can check out artificial intelligence from the application point of view. Google has a lot of offerings with their AI experiments where you can try out things simply without subscribing to a costly plan, just trying things out and get an impression how it can help you. So what you build at the end is a literacy across artificial intelligence, and if you're good, you do it in teams. So if you are in a team, try to build up the knowledge in your team by cross-functional training, where you have multiple people from various departments with a different background working on the same topic, and so you see and learn what diversity means directly in your team, and then you benefit all from the introduction of such tools. Here you can then promote a basic understanding of what is required to operate such a system or to deal with that system or just use such a system, and that's very helpful. Finally, if you have such a system in mind, make sure that it aligns with your business objectives, because artificial intelligence is not a system just to have that system. It is expensive, it's time-consuming first, but if you want to use it, then it's best if it aligns with your business objectives. And as we have seen that there are collaborative AI systems, collaboration in teams can be fostered also in AI projects by using AI tools together in a team. And what you develop best is a culture of curiosity, so that people are not resistant to the introduction of new tools, that they are getting curious to use that tool. They want to learn about it, they want to have fun with it. And this is what should be created, an atmosphere of curiosity. How can we overcome resistance against AI tools? We have to address and not to suppress the fear of automation. We have to talk about it openly. We have to highlight the benefits and also the successes. And to do so, we have to offer a training and we have to offer support. We should not leave people alone or our colleagues alone with such a system without training, without helping them to understand what is the purpose and why are we doing things like that. The why is very important. Being open, why we think it's beneficial, and helping people to understand how it can help them in their daily work. Before introducing such a system, involve all the people, involve stakeholders, listen to them, and then start the process slowly. The more you explain right from the beginning, the easier you can remove barriers. And by this way, you can transform any kind of resistance by creating a transparent and inclusive environment. So let's recap our last session of the Masterclass on artificial intelligence. We have seen that AI simplifies tasks and enhances workflows. Virtual assistants such as Copilot can streamline daily activities, help us in creating emails and organizing conversations and so on. We can use them as productivity tools and optimize our scheduling and automation. And we can use all these tools in our education process to improve engagement. Thank you for attending the third session of our masterclass on artificial intelligence. I hope you can take away some of the impressions and basics you need to know for your future world with using AI in your daily life. Thank you.